Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
A very good evening to all our viewers and welcome to the news at 9. I'm Joel Outskoon with tonight's headlines. Police curfew imposed in Alutgama and Berwala still in effect. President Mahinda Rajapaksa states that the government will not let anyone take the law into their own hands. Fishermen along the coast from Nigambu to Wathala protest demanding the reintroduction of the kerosene subsidy. Constable accused of shooting a youth in Pasiala remanded. F1 champion Michael Schumacher recovers from coma. Let's now cross over to the Newsfirst studios for a comprehensive news bulletin.
Thank you, Joel. A very good evening, everyone, and welcome to your primetime news bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Let's start off with your top story tonight. The police say that the unrest that erupted in Berwala and Alutgama yesterday has been brought under control. About 40 people who were injured in the unrest between two groups last evening are receiving treatment at two hospitals.
Today observed that the tense situation that arose last evening had been brought under control. Police, Special Task Force and riot police personnel had been deployed in Alutgama and Berwala to beef up security. The director of the Kaluthara General Hospital, Dr. Pradeep Wijayatunga, said that 34 persons injured in the unrest are receiving treatment at the hospital. He added that 5 of the injured were transferred to the National Hospital in Colombo. The hospital director added that 6 police officers who were among the injured have been transferred to the police hospital. Security has been beefed up at the Kaluthara General Hospital. The director of the accident ward at the Colombo National Hospital, Dr. Kapila Vikramanayaka, added that 6 persons injured in the unrest have been admitted there. He added that a member of the police special task force was among the injured. A discussion was convened at the Kaluthara District Secretariat today with the participation of a group including ministers and MPs led by the Prime Minister. The police have promised to carry out a major task to provide security and protect lives and property. Meanwhile, Ministers Kumar Welgama and Mervyn Silva visited the Nakandalagoda area in Alutgama today.
Inspector General of Police N.K. Ilangakun says that 2 people were killed in the unrest that broke out in Alutgama and Berwala. He added that the police curfew imposed in the Alutgama and Berwala police divisions has not been lifted as yet. At a media briefing convened at the office of the senior DIG in charge of the Kaluthara district today, Ilangakun called on the public to assist the police to maintain law and order.
39 injured persons have been admitted to the Nagoda hospital. 2 Muslims succumbed to their injuries after being admitted to hospital. A rumor is being spread that a monk also passed away. I can state responsibly that there is no truth whatsoever to this rumor. 8 individuals have been arrested. Several of them were released on bail today. The police, the Special Task Force and the army have been deployed and steps are being followed to uphold law and order in the area.
නීති හා සාමය ආරක්ෂා කිරීමට අවශ්‍ය පියවර අනුගමනය කරලා තිබෙනවා. දැනට ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා මේ තත්ත්වය පිළිබඳව.
The curfew is in effect. We will monitor the situation and once the situation takes a turn for the better, we will decide on the next step.
ඊළඟ පියවර තීරණය කරනවා.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the government will not let anyone take the law into their own hands.
The President, who is on an official visit to Bolivia, made this statement via Twitter following the series of events that occurred in Alutgama. The tweet states, quote, "The government will not allow anyone to take the law into their own hands. I urge all parties concerned to act in restraint," unquote. The President added that an investigation will be held to identify those who are responsible for this incident and requested the public to act in a peaceful manner.
Secretary to the Ministry of Mass Media, Charita Herath, states that all media institutions should act responsibly in a manner which protects national peace and religious harmony.
I just would like to appeal from the media that there are some rumors and misinformation spread among our people on some issues. And many people know that there were some incidents yesterday and also now settled down and completely controlled. But there are rumors and misinformations are shared by some unauthorized personalities and some institutions. What we want is to get the correct information to your media institutions and to look at whether this information would help us to develop the ethno-religious harmony in this country, or will it hurt the stability of the community among the people in this country. I think we just need to decide with that national aspirations, and we just need to continue to support to the good well and good harmony of this country through our media practices.
Convening a media briefing today, the leader of the National Unity Front, Asad Sali, said that the police had failed to take preventive measures with regard to the situation that arose in Alutgama. The police responded to this allegation.
අද යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ ඉඳලා කොල්ලෝ ටිකක් කොටුවට එන්න ගියාම තානම් නියෝගයක් ගන්නවා උසාවියට ගිහිල්ලා. ගිහිල්ලා පෙන්නනවා.
Today, when students from the university try to come to fort, they get an injunction from the court. They take the court order and tell them that they cannot go there because of the court order. When the UNP holds a demonstration, they get an injunction order and give it to the hands of the party leader. No party is allowed to hold demonstrations. They have separate judges to issue injunction orders. We ask why an injunction order was not obtained at this instance. We spoke not only to the police but to military intelligence as well. They said there was no problem, do not fear, and the government has control. They said thousands of police officers have been deployed. They said the STF had been deployed. They said nothing would happen. We went to the Inspector General of Police last morning and submitted this letter. We submitted this letter last morning to the IGP and Anura Senanayaka. Not only did we submit this letter, we lodged a complaint with the police. This is the complaint that was lodged with the police. This is the receipt given by the police, noting that they accepted our complaint. What have we mentioned here? We say that there was an incident here on Thursday and that it is not suitable for a conference to be held here on Sunday. We warned them what would happen if it was not stopped. We must note that this is where the government goes wrong.
ආණ්ඩුවට වරදින්නේ තොතනයි කියන එක අපි කියන්න ඕනේ.
අපට එවැනි ඉල්ලීමක් ඉදිරිපත් වුණා. නමුත් අපි
Such a request had been made, but at such an instance we must consider ability to prohibit these things. We held extensive discussions with the faction that organized this meeting and the leaders and religious leaders in the area. At every discussion, both parties noted that this would be a peaceful religious meeting. Thereby we believed and we expected that this would be a peaceful religious meeting. We did not expect it to descend into clashes, since both parties had given us guarantees.
The National Sangha Council and the Jatika Hello Room convened media briefings today.
As the National Sangha Council, we do not see this incident in Alutgama as an isolated one. We thought after Prabhakaran died, there won't be curfews in the country again. Buddhist organizations, bhikkhu organizations as well as political parties gave clear warnings about extremism. However, the rulers could not understand these warnings, or they understood them and ignored it. The rulers who were appointed to lead the country by the votes of the Sinhalese Buddhists in this country are waiting silently. Everyone in the country, regardless of whether they are Sinhalese or Muslim, has the right to free speech. We should protect these rights. We call on the Buddhist public not to be fooled by false rumors. Do not be instigated by false rumors. A very tragic incident has taken place. As the JHU, we urge the nation to remember that issues can only be solved through peaceful means. Buddhists should take the lead in this. Matters will only get worse if you take the law into your hands. Do not be fooled by forces who attempt to worsen the existing situation. Act in a manner which will allow us to resolve these issues. Incidents of this nature occur when people feel that the law is not being fairly implemented.
ඇතැම් අවස්ථාවල නීතිය සමානව ක්‍රියාත්මක නොවන බව බොහෝ දුරට පිරිස් වලට පුජ්‍යලයින්ට වැටහි.
The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillai, expressed her deep alarm at the violence taking place in southwestern Sri Lanka. The High Commissioner said, quote, the government must urgently do everything it can to arrest this violence, curb the incitement and hate speech which is driving it, and protect all religious minorities, unquote. She further said that security forces must use appropriate measures to contain the situation and ensure the situation is not compounded by any excessive use of force.
Here are some of the views expressed by various parties with regard to the situation that took place yesterday in Alutgama and Beruwala. The National Movement for Social Justice issuing a media release notes that a peaceful environment where everyone could live together was created following the end of the 30-year-long war, and it however notes that such a situation taking place in this backdrop is not a good indication for the future of the nation. Chairman of the movement's National Convening Board, Venerable Maduluwa Vavasobitathera, points out that issues that crop up should be resolved through discussions. The Venerable Thera urged all parties involved to act in an unbiased and impartial manner to ensure that justice is meted out.
Such incidents should not take place in a country. We are of the opinion that people of all nationalities and all religions should be able to live united and harmoniously in one country. We urge the public not to allow such incidents to escalate. We call on the public to think about national peace. Some people will attempt to get political mileage from issues such as this. Such an incident may have occurred because various political forces may be behind it. Our people should realize this. Do not allow such incidents to escalate. Please forget about them and continue to live in unity. Such an incident causes a huge scar on the government's processes of protecting law and order. I had to tell foreign media institutions that I am ashamed to be a minister in this government. The steps that were taken to control this tense situation has come under great criticism from the public. Incidents that took place over the last few days showed indications that such a situation could occur. Not only civil society but political leaders as well as leaders within the government were aware that the police should have turned their attention to this matter.
දේශපාලන නායකයෝ අපි විතරක් නෙවෙයි රජයේ ප්‍රධානීන් මේ පිළිබඳව පොලිසිය අවධානය යොමු කළ යුතුයි කියන ඉල්ලීම නිතරම කරගෙන හිටියා.
Issuing a statement, the US Embassy said it condemns the violence that erupted in Alutgama and Beruwala over the weekend. In a communique, the US Embassy urged the government to ensure that order is preserved and the lives of all citizens, places of worship and property are protected. It further urged the authorities to investigate the attacks and bring those responsible to justice. The US Embassy in Sri Lanka also called on all parties to refrain from violence, exercise restraint and respect the rule of law.
Speaking to Newsfirst earlier this evening, Sri Lanka Muslim Congress parliamentarian HMM Harris noted that the party had given party leader and Justice Minister Rauf Hakim the opportunity to decide on whether he will continue in his position. He said the SLMC would announce a decision on the matter tomorrow.
The government has a responsibility to protect the people. Thereby, everyone in our party, including myself, have decided to exert pressure on the government. He has said on more than one occasion that he has failed to enforce the law as the Justice Minister. Thereby, the party has given him the opportunity to decide if he will continue in this position. Our party hopes to announce a decision on this tomorrow. We hope to take a decision that will ensure the safety of the Muslim community.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Muslim Council convened a media briefing in Colombo today, and several parties, including religious leaders, participated at this media briefing.
We are a nation that has shed blood to no end. I do not believe that the body of our nation has any more blood to shed. This is a catastrophe that must be brought under control. This situation cannot be brought under control if the public remains silent. They must raise their voice.
In our history, which dates back thousands of years, we have always tried to build unity among all communities, to build harmony among all religions, and take this country forward with reconciliation. Our religions have taught us to be united, not divided.
We express our condolences to all those who were grieved by this unfortunate situation. These are not incidents which should occur in this country. This is a country that belongs to all religions. It is a country where all communities should live together. It is a country which must have social rights.
On one hand, we are saddened for those who were grieved by this incident, but we must express our displeasure with the persons who instigated this tragedy. Are we going to regress to the time of 1915 when there were no cameras, or are we going to remain in 2014 where there are cameras? These incidents are transpiring in a new world where every incident is reported as it happens, no matter who is responsible, whether it is a Sinhalese, a Muslim, a Tamil, or even a foreigner. If it is illegal, the law must be enforced.
As has been continuously reiterated here, the cause of this situation must be addressed. As per Buddhist teachings, we must not be saddened by the result. We must address and do away with the cause.
General Secretary of the Citizens Front, Parliamentarian Jayashree Ranga, states that individuals who are responsible for the violence caused in Aludgama and Beruwala should be brought before the law. Issuing a media release, the parliamentarian stated that all parties should support such measures to bring the perpetrators to book, adding that he is ready to extend his fullest cooperation in this regard. The parliamentarian notes that governments which were in power in 1958 and 1983 turned a blind eye to issues in society, resulting in clashes between various ethnicities. Parliamentarian Jayashree Ranga stated that if such incidents continue to take place in the country, the country would undoubtedly head towards another calamity and development of the country would once again be curtailed. The release further states that all Muslim parties and Tamil parties should act in unity in order to ensure the future well-being of the Muslim community in Sri Lanka, and adds that he would support such an endeavour.
Welcome back to the news. The police constable alleged to have fired the shot that killed an individual in Pasiala, Nitambua, has been remanded. The police media unit said that the officer was remanded until tomorrow after being produced before the Attanagalla Magistrates Court today. A youth riding a motorcycle was killed in police fire when he allegedly refused to heed police orders and halt on the night of the 11th of June in Pasiala. The victim was Indika Jayasinghe, a 23-year-old father of one and a resident of Kitulwala.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the domination of financial, economic and technological systems by a few nations has made many developing countries economically and politically vulnerable. He expressed these views addressing the G77 summit in Santa Cruz, Bolivia.
The sovereign right of states, non-interference and political and economic independence are linked. Continued economic dependence and the global domination of financial, economic and technological systems by a few nations have made many developing countries economically and politically vulnerable. This makes it important for countries of the South to chart their course wisely. Focus, therefore, should be on development models culminating and sustainable development, balancing material progress, spiritual well-being and protection of the environment.
Fishermen plying their trade along the western coast of the country from Negombo to Wattala staged a protest today demanding that the kerosene fuel subsidy be reinstated. They call on the authorities to reduce fuel prices if they are incapable of providing fuel subsidies. Protests erupted in February 2012 when the government raised diesel prices by 31 rupees and kerosene prices by 35 rupees. As a result of these protests, the government took measures to grant fuel subsidies to fishermen. However, these subsidies stopped by mid-2013 and the government announced that they would provide subsidies for new fishing equipment such as boats and nets. While some fishermen agreed to this, a majority demanded that the kerosene subsidy be reinstated.
None of us like the alternative subsidies because if we don't have fuel, we won't be able to ply our trade even if we have new equipment.
The protesters charged that although the government promised to provide the fuel subsidy to those who oppose the new subsidy, they have failed to deliver on their promise.
We held discussions for 8 months. We commenced this protest since discussions failed. They gave us false promises and now we are on the streets today. We call on the President to reinstate the fuel subsidy. Either provide us the fuel subsidy or reduce the prices of fuel.
There is no point in constructing roads. You should also look at the hunger of the fishermen. We can survive only if the fishermen have a good catch.
The President held a discussion recently to address issues pertaining to the fisheries sector. Individuals who promised to conduct discussions during this meeting are the same people who are staging these protests. There are several small issues that need to be addressed. They agreed to hold discussions in this regard. So do not be fooled by these vandals. The trade union action launched by the Government Midwifery Services Association, citing that 18 of its members were being trapped inside a labour room at the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital, continues for a 5th day today.
Deputy Director General of Health Services at the Ministry of Health, Ananda Gunasekar, arrived at the hospital today to inspect the situation based on the instruction of the Ministry of Health. Subsequent to his visit, the hospital discussions were held between the members who were engaged in the trade union action, Director of the Peradeniya Teaching Hospital, Dr. Jayabandhu Herath, and members of the hospital administration.
The injustice caused to the midwives and reasons as to why this situation escalated has been handed over to the administration in writing. We believe that the Deputy Director General will explain the actual ground situation to the Minister of Health as well as the Secretary to the Ministry of Health.
We will sit down for a meeting at noon tomorrow with the Minister of Health. All observations that we made today will be submitted to him. We will attempt to resolve this issue tomorrow through discussions. I did not see anything to suggest that the midwives were being forced to remain in the labour room. They are staying there voluntarily. Meanwhile, the Kottagala MOH office was closed down indefinitely yesterday following an incident where the General Secretary of the Sri Lankan Workers' Congress, Minister Arumugam Thondaman, allegedly threatened a medical or health officer in the area. A large number of people who attended clinics at the Kottagala MOH office today were severely inconvenienced. There are no doctors. We need a vaccination for my child.
We have been staying here for quite some time. If we don't receive the vaccinations, our children will be affected.
A demonstration was staged today as well against the principal of Asoka College, Mardana.
Students who participated in the demonstration held at the school this morning accused the principal of being corrupt. While the demonstration was underway, a former vice principal of Asoka College arrived at the location. I served at Asoka College for 21 years. I have never seen anything like this. These problems have been arising over the past year. The primary cause for this is the involvement of politics in this school. Secondly, a person unqualified for the position has been appointed here. I believe that the authorities have caused this. Students who participated in the demonstration expressed these views to the media. We only have another month before our A-levels. We came to school to find out that our old teachers have been removed. No reason has been given for their removal. All the teachers in the school are new. We ask that our teachers be returned. Our reporter says that the students engaged in the demonstration for several hours before dispersing.
The leader of the Janaseta Peramuna, or the People's Welfare Front, Venerable Bataramule Sila Ratanathera, says that the issuing of television ratings should be halted owing to prevailing credibility issues.
Recently, we saw a story on TV ratings that was published in the media. Various individuals have alleged that there is corruption in the issuing of TV ratings. As the leader of the Janasita Peramuna, on behalf of the people, I ask that if there is corruption in the issuing of TV ratings, then stop the issuing of ratings until this is examined or a solution is provided.
First up on international news, at least 48 people were killed and more than 25 wounded when unidentified gunmen attacked buildings in the coastal Kenyan town of Malindi. Militants targeted 2 hotels, a bank and a police station with guns and at least 1 explosive device. The assault last night was the latest in a string of attacks that have hurt Kenya's tourism business, a key source of foreign exchange. Those killed include a policeman who worked as a driver for a police chief in the town. 10 burnt-out vehicles were also visible in various places around and inside Mekatoni, and a branch of a Kenyan bank in the town was also gutted by the attackers. Residents said there were at least 30 attackers who used 2 vehicles in the raid. 2 military helicopters patrolled the air over the town this morning.
On to sports news now. The 5th and final day of the first test match between Sri Lanka and England is currently underway at the Lord's Cricket Stadium. England posted a second innings score of 267 runs for the loss of 8 wickets, setting Sri Lanka a target of 390 runs for victory. Dimuth Karunaratne and Kaushal Silva commenced the run chase for the Sri Lankans. Stuart Broad struck earlier on in the day to dismiss Dimuth Karunaratne for 16 runs. Kumar Sangakkara and Kaushal Silva then put on a second wicket stand of 98 runs. Silva continued his good form with the Willow and recorded his 5th Test half-century. He was undone by Chris Jordan for a well-made 57. Kumar Sangakkara, meanwhile, reached his 46th half-century in the longer version of the game. Sri Lanka lost their 3rd wicket today when James Anderson got the better of Mahela Jayawardene for 18. Chasing 390 for victory, Sri Lanka. Stepping into the ring now, a ceremony was held today to felicitate the semi-finalists of the Super Fighter sports reality program who represent Vidyartha College, Kandy.
Super Fighter.
2 fighters representing Vidyartha College, Kandy, have progressed to the semi-final round of Super Fighter, Sri Lanka's first ever sports reality program. Ishanka Madhushankar will enter the ring under the 49 kilo weight class, while Dilan Tilakaratne will compete under the 60 kilo weight class. The principal of Vidyartha College, together with a number of students from the school, were present at the event.
Well, that's a wrap up. Primetime News at 9. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Shayan Silva. Take care and good night.
Hotline 0114 896 896 www